Hello everybody, this is John Feldt. Welcome to the NCGA FMC Agricultural Weather Outlook recorded on January 26, 2014. Now I wish I had some good news for you because man, I tell you, it has been a brutal winter so far over a large part of the Corn Belt. Not only do I have bad news, I'm not sure if I have even maybe worse news as we go ahead. So I hope I'm wrong, but stay tuned here. I'm going to give you a briefing as we get into February. Now let's start out with this polar vortex. We've talked about that a lot. Really the coldest air right now is poised over the Canada. It's brushing into the upper Midwest and it's beginning to sink south. Purple and teal here are the coldest readings, and this air here early this week is going to be sagging to the south and to the southeast as we go through the week. Now, before I talk about temperatures and precipitation, I'd like to talk about the current precipitation over the last 7 days. You know, if you've been in this area, you know this, but this has been the most active and persistent precipitation band this winter so far. It's been a very active snow band from the upper Midwest, generally North Dakota, across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and then into the eastern Corn Belt, Michigan as well. And this has been very persistent now and really been enhancing the amounts of snow to unusually high levels in this area. I don't see that changing a whole lot as we go forward. But this was last week, again, a very active week in that precipitation band. Matter of fact, if we look at the percent of normal precipitation, blue and purple indicate areas above normal. These little pockets of purple here, bright purple, that's 4 to 6 times normal the snowfall for the week. So pretty active over parts of the Corn Belt, especially the upper Midwest and the eastern part of the U.S. Corn Belt. Now, we've been looking at this graph. I've been talking about this for weeks and weeks, but really the coldest air has been sort of centered over here. So it's been a brutally rough winter for Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, and surrounding states. And it looks like last week was no exception as far as temperatures. Temperatures are continuing to average 10 to 20 degrees below normal and even more, and this week's going to be even worse. Now, the 7-day snowfall, the maroon are the lighter amounts of snow, 0 to 4 inches. Yellow is the medium, 4 to 8. And then we even see over parts of Illinois, Indiana, along parts of the Great Lakes, 8 to 12 inches of snow. So there was snow over a large part of the Corn Belt. Now, I'm going to start talking more and more about soil moisture over the next, as we get into February, once again. But really, this is an area that we're getting some pretty good recharge over the winter so far. And I'm going to really get into a lot more detail on this as we go forward. But this area here is where we really need a lot more. So keep in mind that if you live in parts of Missouri, parts of Iowa, Kansas, Nebraska, that's the area I'd like to see some more snow. We need to recharge the soils in that area, and we just haven't had as much as we have further to the north. But again, like I said, I'll be talking about that a whole lot more over the next couple months. Now here's the snow depth. You can see we really haven't had a lot of expansion further south. This has been pretty persistent where this edge of the snow is. The heaviest snow is in this medium blue here, and the really heavier snow is in the darker type of maroon or blue, but really no snow over this area right in here, and it's been persistent. We've had some earlier snow bands in this region, but those have pretty much not been continued as we've gotten into 2014. Now here are your current steering winds. In Blue Water Outlook, if you're a new listener, I tend to talk about some of the more sophisticated type weather things. You know, I feel like you need some of the latest information. So a lot of times I talk about things you aren't going to get on the TV news. And one of the things are these steering winds, and this is the upper flow, the wind energy. And yellow and red is the stronger winds. And usually within this core of stronger winds is where you're going to have more active precipitation. That's one of the reasons, because we've had this polar vortex up here. We've had very strong winds rotating around it, and that's why the snow band has been so active in the upper Midwest. Now, another index that I look at is the Arctic Oscillation, and I think this is excellent for giving us some clue as far as temperatures and to a lesser degree precipitation as we look out forward. Now, the Arctic Oscillation is a measure of the imbalance in atmospheric pressure, and when it can be either positive or negative, and this is the neutral line, 0. So when this index is above this line, it's considered positive, and when it's below this line, it's negative. This black dots and line are the forecast. So this is the forecast over the next week, and then as we get into February, this is the forecast out here. And what it's showing is a very strong negative phased Arctic oscillation this week, and then remaining negative, maybe a moderation next week, and then going back, but very negative this week. And that's saying it's going to be unusually cold this week, and I think it even gives us a clue looking out further ahead. Now, matter of fact, if I look back, this is the forecast this week. Look at this, -3. I can go all the way back through October, and I do not see a reading as negative as it is forecast to be this week. Another clue to look at here, this is getting into February. These are individual models, and they're all clustered negative, some of them extremely negative. Matter of fact, one even colder. This is giving me a clue that February is going to see record temperatures over areas that have already been very cold. But let's get back to this week. This is the position of the polar vortex, middle of the week. You can see it comes across almost the entire U.S. Corn Belt. These are temperatures 20 to 40 degrees below normal with some light snow over the upper Midwest. We're looking at blizzard conditions. We're looking at dangerous wind chills. Just not a nice week across almost the entire Corn Belt, but especially the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and the Ohio Valley. As far as precipitation goes, this is going to be in the form of snow, so there could be some pockets of moderate snowfall as well. And like I said, we've really been sort of recharging Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, parts of Illinois. That area, as far as soil moisture, has really been adequately recharged. I think that trend will continue right into the spring. The area that I'd like to see some more precipitation, it's getting some, but it's really not as much as I'd like to see. So as far as the snowfall accumulation goes, this goes through February 3rd. It looks like a band of moderate snow, and up in the upper Midwest, we're going to have blizzard conditions because the winds are going to be so strong. It's going to be that light, dry snow. But it does look like some moderate snow across areas that have been receiving fairly active snow over the next week. Now, there is a weather hazard. Each week I talk about weather hazards. Sometimes they're precipitation, sometimes they're temperature. This week it looks like it's going to be a temperature hazard, and I have outlined here areas of where dangerous cold is expected. Okay, so let's look ahead. Week 2, week 3, and week 4. This is week 2. Well, like I said, I wish I had better news, but right now it looks like a pocket of unusually cold temperatures are going to persist over the upper Midwest, sink to the south, sink to the east. Maybe not so much the east. That could see some moderating temperatures over Indiana and Ohio, but still below normal, but it's going to be better than this week. So that's why I said there could be a rebound just for a bit. Precipitation, yellow, orange, and red is the forecast for precipitation. I think yellow is pretty close to normal, but look at the orange here. It does look like continued enhanced precipitation from Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Lighter precipitation in the upper Midwest. Now let's look out at temperatures in the period February 9th through 15th. I think this right now, we'll have to see how this is out there a ways. Right now, the blue are the unusually cold air associated with the polar vortex. In my opinion, this is the most widespread and extensive I've seen all winter, even compared to this week, which is going to be unusually cold. So it looks like mid-February looks brutally cold for the entire U.S. Corn Belt with record-setting temperatures at this time. I'll keep you up to date with more information on this, another outbreak, but really that polar vortex keeps on rotating around, and we're getting one after another. Having said that, this February 9th through 15th looks very concerning to me as perhaps even the coldest outbreak we've seen this winter. Now, as far as precipitation goes, usually in the coldest air you get lighter precipitation because it's the amount of moisture in the air is dry, and I do think we'll have some snow, but I don't see any major events at this point. I think there will be some. I think the models probably aren't picking them up right now, but I think the main story is going to be the unusual cold. So the takeaway points, like I said, I don't have a whole lot of good news other than that recharge of soil moisture over parts of the eastern and upper Midwest. but it looks like blizzard conditions in the upper Midwest early this week, unusually cold, 20 to 40 degree below normal temperature anomalies this week with dangerous wind chills and some snow over parts of the eastern Corn Belt. And then right into February right now, I see record cold, most likely a record cold month of February, not just for individual states, but very much a possibility for the entire Corn Belt. Hey, if you have any questions, you can always email me, john@bluewateroutlook.com. If you like these briefings, I have a lot of information I'm going to be passing along as we get nearing the start of the growing season. Tell others about this. They can sign up and get free notice of the information. I think I have that on this email I sent to you. Again, I'd like to hear from you. If you like these briefings, let me know. If you'd like me to talk about something else, I'd like to hear about that as well. Again, nice talking with you. I'll be providing you another briefing in about a week.